Okay, hi everybody. Welcome back to Sunshine and Soul. Um, Please like, share, subscribe. Go back and watch the last episode. This is my second one at home. I'm not in the studio, but I'll be back in the studio soon. This week I have a brilliant guest, Mr. Tunji Joseph.
Thank you.
Welcome, 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 welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
We've been in this position before, but we won't go into that. How are you? That's the first question we always ask on Sunshine and Soul.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm well. So we'll touch on this a little bit later on in the interview. But I'm a teacher, so at the minute it's like the summer. So I'm good, and I have this ritual of every summer. There's these free audiobooks I listen to. So The Art of War by Sun Tzu, Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and Your Next 5 Moves by Patrick Bet-David. All to do with more or less finances, strategy, and just thinking ahead. And if anyone's interested in any of those topics, I highly suggest and recommend those books.
Well, why those books for the summer? Is that related to business and your work outside of teaching, or is it related to teaching?
It's more personal development and growth, and sort of helping me to think outside of the box. Just because I know there are a lot of teachers who are they're fully consumed by teaching, but I like to be an all-rounder, as it were. I like to, because teaching isn't the only way there. You can look at other things that can help you in whatever field you're doing. And for instance, the Art of War strategy, I had a mentor who talked about with teaching, it's like you're in the classroom with the student and you're constantly, students are constantly testing you to see, to push you, and it's to do with power ultimately. So books about strategy, that's helpful, gives you different ways of managing people, sort of thing. And I know business leaders, they deal with people as well, so it's all related.
That's interesting. That's a good strategy, actually. I didn't think of that with regards to teaching.
Yes. So
oh, excuse me, sorry, still battling a little bit of a cold. So Tunji, tell us about you. You are a teacher, and you do many other things as well. You are a singer, a musician. You are a YouTuber. You have a YouTube channel as well. You have a book, and you are a director, writer. You have a web series. You do so many things. I don't know where you find the time plus teaching. But tell me a little bit about your career and how you got into all the different things that you do.
Okay, so it all started, well, funny enough, started at school, where I had a drama teacher who, I don't know, he saw something in me. And from then, what I've told students before is that respect goes a long way. And if you respect your teachers, they're willing to go that extra mile to like help you. So I had a good relationship with my drama teacher. Then when I was like in sixth form, I was like, sir, what are the steps that I need to take to become an actor? So he helped me out. He helped me craft my audition speeches for drama school and whatnot. And that was after school. So I've said to students before, like, if you're not respectful, kind and courteous, do you think a teacher will want to spend extra time helping you? Meanwhile, I wasn't doing like drama A-level sort of thing. So this is his name, Mr. Diego. This is Mr. Diego going out of his way to help me, to give me extra time, and whatnot. And that goes back to being kind, courteous, and respectful. And that goes such a long way. And from there, I didn't get into drama school first time around. Then I went to uni. While at uni, I was auditioning for a National Youth Theatre. Then I met someone who was at Identity Drama School at the time. They were like, "Oh yeah, you should try out for Identity."
Shout out to Identity, the number one black drama school in the UK and agency.
There was someone there like, "Oh, you should audition for Identity." I was looking at Identity at the time, but I was like, "Oh, how am I going to juggle it with uni?" Then I was like, "You know what? I have nothing to lose. Like, I might not even get in, so let me just audition." I got in. After that, I finished identity, went to uni, finished uni. Then I went to full-time drama school. And it's from there that we were really encouraged, my cohort, and I think this is a wider thing in the industry, that course leaders are encouraging students on the courses to acknowledge that you're not just an actor, but you can write, you can direct, you can produce. And don't get me wrong, there's some actors out there who are like, yeah, all of that, nah, don't want it, I just want to be an actor. But for me, I could see other possibilities and other realms. And I've seen the power in being more than just an actor, and there's so much power in that, because that's where the real power is, when you're a producer and whatnot, or director. If you find that, oh, you know what, the acting thing, I don't want to do it anymore, or for some actors who have been in the industry in a while, they may say, I don't want to act anymore, but I still want to be involved in the industry, so directing, producing, all that sort of stuff. So it's all useful. It's all useful. There are many.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
Can I ask, how were your family, parents specifically, how did they react to doing acting? Because I know a lot of our parents can be doctor, lawyer, get a proper job type of thing. So how was it? Something that your family encouraged, or did it something that you had to fight for on your own?
I had to fight for it. It's one of those things where, you know, when talk is cheap. However, when someone sees your drive and your determination, they can see you're going to extra classes, you're putting in the work, you're going above and beyond, then obviously your actions speak louder than words. Then I was able to convince my loved ones that, you know, there are possibilities in this field, in this industry. So I had to fight, yeah.
But you had to fight for it.
Yeah. It didn't come easy.
Well done for making it through.
Thank you.
And how did you get into teaching?
So after the pandemic, I was like, oh, I want to try something different. And looking back on that drama teacher who helped me out, Mr. Diego, I thought, oh, okay, there are ways of helping out and giving back and whatnot. So I thought, yeah, why not go into teaching? And it's been enjoyable. I had some great students, have students who have challenged me, and from that challenge, I've grown, and I've gone on to. That challenge helps you grow stronger, and I feel I've come out on the other side, and I look back and I'm like, wow. Then even so, I don't have children. So being a teacher, I think it helps me understand how important being a parent is, and it helps me to understand how important it is to give your children a solid foundation.
Absolutely.
So those are sort of like additional things that I've gained from being a teacher that I didn't even expect to happen. So yeah, I think I've gone off.
No, you're fine. What sorry, what is the I mean, you said you started teaching after the pandemic, but what is the differences? Do you know what the differences are for the profession that you've heard from your colleagues since, for kids that have been through the pandemic? Because that was quite a traumatic and turbulent time for children. So do you have to, is there anything extra that you guys have had to do to make up for that period?
I know, so immediately during the pandemic, I know behavior was an issue. And this is coming from speaking to head teachers and executive heads, that immediately after the pandemic, the main issue was that some children had structure and others, they didn't. It was a kind of thing. So one example, what one head teacher mentioned was that we had children who were going out at mad hours, coming in, coming and going, and when it's now time to come back to school, you've got that structure. But there was a lot of sort of like pushback. So I feel like 2020 to 2021, there was sort of like a lot of pushback there. And also at the time, I wasn't teaching then, but speaking to colleagues, classes were in bubbles, so that classes would stay in the same room for the whole day, then the teachers would rotate. So, it's hard to be in the same room all day without being able to move about and whatnot. So there was some struggle there. But now we're on the other side. I think what's coming out still is reading and maths. For some, it's a bit lower. And also the head of Ofsted, the last head of Ofsted, before she left, she wrote a report. And in this report, she stated that before the pandemic, there was an unwritten contract between the school and parents that would sort of like help each other out. And since the pandemic, that's not so much the case. And I think individual schools, and individual schools are like fighting hard to sort of like reinstate that. And we're now in 2024, and we're still sort of like feeling the impact, but schools are fighting to reinstate that.
Oh, that's hard. That's really hard. Do you think there needs to be more government intervention in terms of even like mental health care for kids that have come through the pandemic? Is there like a therapeutic or therapeutic teaching or counselling that needs to happen, do you think, for the kids that have been through the pandemic?
Yes, but there's, as you can imagine, there's a backlog at the minute. So there should be. Well, now we've got a new government. Hopefully, that more funding. Touch wood. Hopefully, more funding will come to help young people, especially to do with like mental health issues and whatnot. So more funding, and hopefully we can deal with the backlog and help those students who need help. Yeah,
it's definitely affecting some of them. But apart from, sorry, go ahead.
I wanted to touch on reading. Reading for so this goes for all parents, but specifically like secondary school parents. That you may not be aware of this. However, when your child takes their GCSEs, for all of their GCSEs, they need a reading age of 16. So one thing I've done this thing called 20-40-60. Now, children should be reading for 20 minutes a day. So in my classroom, I was like, okay, I'm going to make this thing. So it goes like this. You need to be reading for 20 minutes a day, but reading for 40 minutes is better than 20. Reading for 60 minutes is better than 40. But at the end of the day, reading for 20 minutes is better than reading for 0 minutes at all. So my students, I repeated that. I was like a broken record, just repeat. And now we're on summer. It's inexcusable for children not to read at all. So 20 minutes a day, it's not that much, but that 20 minutes goes a long way. And if you're a parent, carer, and guardian, and you don't know your child's reading age, as soon as September 1st hits, email your child's tutor. Sir, miss, please, I need my child's reading age. Doesn't need to be long, just short and sweet like that, and they'll be able, the teacher, the form tutor will be able to give you your child's reading age, because we want all our young people to win. We don't want our young people doing retakes unnecessarily. So just if you're not aware of that, there's a little nugget for you to take away.
Thank you so much. And what do you teach? Are you a form tutor?
Yeah, I'm a form tutor. So English and drama, that's what I'm teaching.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for that nugget. A lot of people are going to get a lot out of that. I think it's so important. I'm glad I'm speaking to you, because I think I luckily didn't have any children school age during the pandemic. But every day I thought, God, how the hell would I do this? How would I cope with this? It would have been so difficult, especially for a lot of parents that had to work.
Yes.
One of my nieces, both her parents were had to work because they were in the emergency services. So she had to go to school with like 8 other kids of different ages every day. And she didn't learn anything. She didn't learn anything at all during that time. Thankfully, she's caught up now. But it was just impossible. It was almost impossible to teach during that time, whether it's from home or whether the kids were in school. So I definitely appreciate every teacher, including yourself, who are working diligently and working hard to make sure that these children can catch up. And like you said, leave school with a reading age of at least 16, because that's the basic, isn't it? That is literally the bottom barrel basic that they're supposed to have. Yeah. Well, thank you for your service, as they say to the American Army. But it sounds like a military operation. Seriously, sounds like a military operation. And Tunji, you're not just a teacher, though. So it kind of makes sense to me now that all the other things you do, because you definitely need a break and a distraction and other things to channel your energies into. So it makes lots of sense that you made a song called Jollof King. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So Jollof. Okay. Do you know what it is? So I watched this video on. So a lot of I'm Nigerian. So a lot of Nigerians, they don't cook without like Maggi cubes and these like pre-seasonings and whatnot. Then I saw this like mini documentary, and it talked about how these actual like Maggi cubes and whatnot cause actually like strokes and this and that. So in the song Jollof King, if you listen to the song, it's like put the palm oil in I put like these different seasonings in, just to like get back to the original, that you can actually cook without using these like Maggi cubes and this and that. But it's like a feel-good song. People may not even be aware of that message, but it's a feel-good song. It's in there, and that's sort of like the deeper meaning behind Jollof King. Of course, like some people have come up to me, what do you prefer, Ghanaian jollof, Nigerian jollof? And I say, I'm not engaging, all jollof is wonderful. So if you want to offer me some, I'll happily try some of your jollof, no matter where it's from.
You'll be trying mine, because I've never cooked it in my life. Ever. But
it's pretty straightforward.
What's yours like?
Pretty decent. Pretty decent, yeah.
Tell us about Race in the Whiteboard Black Pieces.
Okay. So Whiteboard Black Pieces, Race in the West. It's a one-man show that I put on a couple years ago, and it explores what it means to be black in the Western world. So with that, I explored sort of like the 1800s up until modern day, and I explored like a number of issues like dating outside the race, the African and Caribbean sort of dichotomy, slavery, ancestry, religion. So I explored quite a lot. And one of the reasons I did it was a thought-provoking piece. And in all the art I create, I like to get the audience to think and discuss, because at uni, like studying like drama and theatre, the West End is sort of like popcorn, sort of like feel good sort of theatre, whereas I kind of discovered that the fringe stuff, which is sort of maybe a little bit darker, that makes you think, it makes you reflect on life a little bit more. That's the kind of art I like to create, that makes people think and starts conversations. Don't get me wrong, there are some good things on the West End from time to time.
I like The Lion King.
Yeah.
When did you do that? And how long did it run for?
In 2019 and 2020, did a couple runs in London. Then I managed. I was part of the 2020 Lagos Theatre Festival, so I took it out to Nigeria. Brilliant. So yeah, so it was nice to go back home with like a piece of art and meet the creatives out there, especially as people are familiar with like Nollywood and Nollywood movies and whatnot, but there is a theatre scene in Nigeria, so it was fun to be a part of that and meet sort of like the movers and shakers in Nigeria.
And do you have any other theatre shows planned? Because that sounds like an amazing concept, and also one that will always be relevant, to be honest. Can we watch that anywhere? Or was it just theatre?
Yes. Yeah. So the show Whiteboard Black Pieces Race in the West, it's available on my YouTube channel. So if anyone's interested, you can watch that on YouTube, and the play is available to order on Amazon as well.
Fantastic. And have you got any more theatre plays planned for the future?
Not at the minute. I've got like drafts of stuff, but it isn't anything at the moment. So no, but maybe one day.
But maybe one day.
Maybe.
And also have a web series on you. Tell me the concept of your YouTube channel, because I watched some of your short clips. And they're very thought-provoking. And tell me the concept of is it just to showcase your work?
Not necessarily. So I started my YouTube channel because at the time I was watching this YouTuber called John Campier, and he's a movie YouTuber and talks about movies and whatnot. Then I was watching like a lot of his videos. Then he did like these series of videos of like, how do you get into YouTubing and blogging and stuff. And he was like, he encourages people to give it a go, because we all have a different opinion of things. So I was like, okay. So I just started with like a basic camera and whatnot. So Tunji Talks originally started as a sort of like movie, sort of like review, and to talk about movies. However, I then sort of like branched out, and I now dub Tunji Talks the home of I Have a First podcast and the home of thought-provoking content. So again, I think it goes back to my art, that when I create, I want people to talk and think about things critically.
Do your students watch your YouTube channel?
Yes.
Yeah. You sure? Have you spoken to them? Have they spoken to you? Have they?
So yes. So some of them have found it. So it started off once they found Jollof King, they just went down like a rabbit hole. Yeah. So some might be embarrassed, but again, my content is thought provoking. Especially, I talked about reading. I have videos on like reading and finances and relationships, and I've got content about movies and whatnot. So it is quite diverse, and no matter what topic I'm talking about, it is thought provoking.
Very, very, very. I do like your YouTube channel. I am a fan.
Oh, thank you.
Subscribe. And tell us about the Love Conundrum. It's your web series.
Yeah. So it's a short movie. About so the premise for this is two 20-somethings become disillusioned with online dating, so they decide to go back to their roots and ask for help from their parents. And it's about sort of how people are not really feeling online dating like they once were, because it can be superficial, it can feel corporate and somewhat capitalistic, and this idea of, in the movie we explored the idea of like arranged marriages and whatnot, and now I think the stereotype is that like maybe the South Asian community really does that a lot. However, in traditional African culture, arranged marriage is something that we have done, but this is just my take. I think when we have come to the West, that's not really the thing that has done, and we've sort of like assimilated to fit in with where we are, and we've sort of allowed that to go to the wayside. But I personally
think Caribbean community should adopt that. Arranged marriages. I personally think that that's something that we should have adopted. We're very Christian in the Caribbean, Christian and Catholic, but I think that system of arranged marriages where the families are involved at the beginning right at the beginning and counsel and coach the couples all the way through. I think that is definitely something that should be adopted into Caribbean tradition. You sound like you're in favour of it as well.
Yes, I'm in favour of it. It is like, if someone doesn't want to go down that route, okay, but I feel it's something as a community we should
absolutely.
It should be something we talk about more often as a valid option, because as you said, you know, having like the elders involved and giving counsel, that goes like a long way.
It does go a long way. Do you think it's something we should incorporate into Black British tradition and culture?
Yeah. I think it is something.
So do I. I've never heard anybody else agree with me.
Well,
no one else has ever agreed with me on that.
Why do you think that is?
Because everybody's just scared of people getting involved, or maybe there's a negative connotation with it, but I just don't see that. I see it as, it's really great that, especially when you got two families who want to put people together, there's no you don't have to do it, obviously. If you meet the person and you don't get on, you don't get on, and that's it. But I think for the way marriage is, especially in the West, the way we have not an epidemic, but a problem with single parenthood in the community, especially in the UK. I feel like if families were involved at the beginning and could counsel and coach the couples through, like I was saying, I feel like it would make a huge difference and have a huge impact in Black love and Black couples in the UK. So I feel like it's something that we definitely should be at least looking into or incorporating as an option, like you said. But yeah, not many people agree with me.
And I think as well, people allow their egos to get involved. Like, oh, you can't tell me nothing, bro. I can make the decision for myself, this, that, and the other. Whereas sometimes drop the ego and just listen, and maybe, you know, you might find yourself in a better position. Maybe, possibly.
I wish somebody picked something for me. I'll make a whole heap of bad decisions. I probably would have been better off if I let my dad pick something for me. Excuse me, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Continue telling us about the love conundrum. I just thought that was a really interesting concept.
So the love conundrum. So that came to me like during the Christmas lockdown. So when Boris announced the Christmas lockdowns, that weekend, I think I was meant to be making like a short film with my friends, and I was really looking forward to that. Then you know the lockdown was announced, and I just had all this creativity in me. Then I had 3 ideas for these 3 different short films, and the love conundrum was the second one. And initially I was apprehensive about how people would take it. However, the reception has been quite positive. I've like really enjoyed the sort of debate that has come out of it, and especially like being on set as well, like the discussions we're having about, you know, that some good can come out of this. So a couple of the issues that I think are so important are when you're looking to go into a relationship, about long-term planning, about how do you, what goals do you have, that sort of thing. How do you want to raise children? So for example, when I was writing this was quite heavy, and on set there's a line where there's a line that the couple are having a discussion, like, oh, how do you discipline your kids, that sort of thing. And when I was writing that was heavy. Then on set, like the way that was performed, I was like, oh, that is so good. So again, like the way the discussions that come out of this, because that's a really serious discussion. I don't know if people like that. How are you going to discipline your kids? I don't know how many people are actually having this sort of discussion. So the reception has been good, and the conversations. Yeah.
I don't know if anybody has that conversation either. But yeah, that was definitely a highlight. And will you be making? I think I wrote web series down because I said it should be.
Oh,
It should
oh,
be.
okay,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, that
it
has
should
been. Yeah,
be.
people
Yeah,
want more. People want more for sure. Yeah.
yeah,
Um.
absolutely.
Maybe I've said maybe. I've said the maybe. Um. But next, I'm finishing a script on the other idea that I have, and that is called zipper issues. So I'm just trying to finish that up.
Zipper,
Zipper.
ish.
Yeah. Mhm.
My mind
Right.
just
So
went all over the place.
yeah, yeah. So a quick like premise I've got for that is the following: what would you do if your best friend cost you everything, your job, your wife to be, and a relationship with your unborn child? That's the sort of like premise I've got for that so far. So I think
That's intriguing.
that'll be like another thought provoking sort of concept, and yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing the script and getting that filmed and in the can.
How do you cast? Do you cast with your friend group, your students?
Not much. So there's this site called Mandy, where you can actors can sign up to that. So in the past, I've used a combination of Mandy and social media, and I've put out like a casting call. Then I've got actors to send me in self tapes. So for the self tape, I'll take like a segment of the script that I think would be really important, and I get actors to give them the sides, and sides are like a segment of text or segment of the script that the actors get. Give them the sides, they send in their self tapes. Then I'll often give feedback. Oh, I really like this, but could you try doing this and this? Then once I've got like second takes, I'll then take it into consideration. I go off the energy, I go off the actors interpretation of the text, and yeah, it can be. It is like agonizing because you want to get the right chemistry, you want to get the right interpretations and whatnot, but at the same time, you want to be open to what the actor is given. So it can be agonizing, but I meditate on it. Then in so all the films I've done so far, I feel all the actors I've cast have been like absolutely perfect. And yes, and I find it's like a good. So talking to other like directors and actors as well, I think it is a good process. I would encourage other actors to create even like short films and go through the
Yeah,
casting process so they can understand that sometimes you are good enough. However, someone does something that is just so perfect that you give them the role, and it's not because others were not talented or that others were not good enough, but I've only got X amount of parts, and sometimes I would like to give someone else like a different role, but the script is confined to this, and so just so actors can like get out of their way a little bit. It's not always about you. Sometimes it's just like sometimes it is down to luck. Like you can have the best training, but sometimes if someone just brings that X factor, then they'll
sometimes it
get
is luck.
yeah.
And how are you? Are you self-funded?
Yeah, yeah. So I
That's
self fund.
difficult. That can
Uh,
be really difficult. No.
my yes and no. I mean,
Mm,
on my like podcasts and extended videos, I do have like I do have a PayPal link that if anyone wants to contribute to that, they can as well. But self funded. But I feel as Tunji Talks grows, the ultimately it's not necessarily down to the money. The more people who are aware of Tunji Talks, then that will bring like other opportunities and whatnot. But I'm happy to do what I'm doing at the minute, and I'm always open for opportunities and collaborations with others.
brilliant, brilliant. I am. I always admire people who are confident in their talents and their potential and put their own money in there and behind it. So well done to you. Well done to
Thank
you.
you.
And thank you for speaking to me today, Tunji. It's been really great listening to all your endeavors and hearing about how you go from teacher to all the other amazing things that you do. And I'm gratified that you've been able to come on finally and tell us about everything that you've got going on. Before we wrap up, though, we have to do the sunshine and soul questions, which is happiness and peace. So sunshine is your happiness. What makes you happy?
Family, hanging out with family.
That makes you happy.
Yeah,
And what gives
makes
you
me happy.
peace? What gives you peace?
Peace. Like going to the gym and like meditation. For sure. I know some people might think, oh, the gym, but no. Like I know some people go in there that I want to clang bang, like grunting and whatnot. But for me, I find.
Sorry.
But for me, I know if I'm gonna lift like something considerable, I know my mind needs to be absolutely crystal clear, so I can do it purposefully. Then with sort of like meditation, that allows me to just quiet the noise, and it allows me just to take a step back and to think. So yeah, those two.
Thank you. Tell everybody where we can find you.
You can find me on all social media platforms at Tunji_Storytime, and on YouTube you can find me at Tunji Talks.
Thank you for joining me today, Tunji. Lovely to speak to you. Everybody, like, share, subscribe, follow myself, follow Tunji, of course, and comment, like the video, comment, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Take care.
Oh my God.